Sephro or sphere is like a frequency band of level of reality from the most spiritual Keter down to the most physical, which is Malkuth. You know those seraphims, those 10. Yeah, in terms of Kabbalah. That's the first thing experience I had was the Kabbalah, how it actually structured from high consciousness right down to Malkuth, which is the earth, and how we can actually work our way up, raise our frequency. In other words, it's also about raising your frequency and your understanding. More information, more light. More information that's aligned to light and love will give you more light, because in this universe you will get 80% truths and 20% lies. So you have to make sure that you are getting at least that 80% of the light, and then understanding how to decipher which is the darkness, which is the lies, which is a distortion of truth, which is 20%, right? So you got to be careful. Don't be afraid, but be careful, be conscious, be aware of what you're putting yourself into when you learn certain things. Understand that you need to take certain things with a grain of salt, especially if your spirit, your heart, your gut feeling is telling you that there's something not so right about this thing, like how we feel about the story of Adam and Eve. You understand? Now, we all know that divine consciousness did create the world, which is the truth, right? That the world was created by Sof or in divine consciousness. We know that, right? But however, we are not so sure about the whole story of Adam and Eve. What's the purpose of that story in the Bible? Is to make human beings much lesser, to make human beings much lesser than the divine, not uniting us to divine, but making us much less, that we're just children and we're just going to be led. When you did wrong, you will be punished and sent out of the garden. Now remember, that's one of the key teachings of this reality, is when you get punished, you get told, you get excluded from society, you get put into jail, you get excluded by your community because now you did something wrong. Now, but remember, with Jesus' teachings, Yeshua's teachings, he actually, because it was a Essene, he was a follower of the Essene philosophy, right? Essenes were people who believed a lot in esoteric activities, in magic, in spirituality. They believed that they were divine. They believed that what you eat and where you live and what you're doing, you need to be connected to the divine source. They lived a lot in the wilderness. You get my point? A lot in the wilderness, and Jesus was also an Essene. You understand? Just like John the Baptist was an Essene, was a John the Baptist. Yeah, there's also an Essene as well. Somebody who was connected to the universe. And they had connection to magic, because nature is magical. And when you connect yourself to earth itself and live according to those principles, then you're able to actually connect and also manifest a lot of magical things in your life experience, like healings, because they ate natural foods. And by the way, the Essenes were vegetarian. They never eat animals. They never eat animals. Never kill to eat. So these are things are not added in the Christian Bible. There is no way that the Romans or the Greeks could have added the story of Jesus being a Essene in their story, because it means that they were not going to be able to hide the fact that Jesus was actually a vegetarian, and yet a lot of animals are being killed to please the God of the Bible. Blood sacrifices. Jesus, however, again, they messed that up with the end of his life by crucifying him and making a blood sacrifice, because he was against it. You understand? Because he was an Essene. Essenes did not believe in killing animals for food. Right, so go do your research on that one as well. All these are all great insights for us to understand. Right, so the tree of life, being a blueprint of life, is technology of the Kabbalah, geometric structure that represents the architects of the cosmos. And number 2, a map of the human consciousness. And number 3, the path back to source, how we raise our frequency and understand that we are of the light, and expand ourselves into more light. All right.